There's a difference between being a visionary and being a control freak with a great idea. Okay. Now, see which one you relate to. My name is Jocelyn Herman-Saccio, and today we are going to be talking about one of the hardest and most powerful shifts that you can make as a leader, moving from control to co-creation. This is like the magic ingredient. So for those of you who have built successful businesses, but you find yourself drowning in the details, drowning in the day-to-day operations, feeling like everything falls apart the moment you step away for an hour or a day or a week, God forbid. This shift isn't just nice to have, it's your next level of mastery in your business. So let me share a story that perfectly illustrates what I'm talking about here. One of my clients, Elizabeth, she had planned what she thought would be a very simple wellness event. She envisioned like 50 people, a few surveys, a chance to connect. What actually happened was over 100 people showed up from all totally different walks of life. It completely cracked something open in the project, but she wasn't prepared for what happened. People weren't just participating, they were moved. They saw possibility. They connected with what she was creating. They wanted in. And suddenly, Elizabeth wasn't just leading an event, she was holding space for a new movement in well being. But instead of celebrating that and being excited about that breakthrough at that moment, guess what happened? The control voice kicked in. What's next? I need to define the direction. I can't just let this spiral out of control. This isn't what I envisioned. Sound familiar? Be careful what you wish for, right? This is the moment when many visionaries sabotage their own expansion. And I have been doing transformative work with 6 and 7-figure entrepreneurs for more than 35 years, actually. And I see this pattern destroy more potential than any other leadership mistake that I see. So here's the first point: the control trap. When success becomes your ceiling, this happens for a lot of people. Here's what most successful entrepreneurs don't realize: the very patterns that got you to 6 or 7 figures can become the ceiling that prevents you from scaling your true impact in the world or in your industry. Elizabeth's story is a perfect example of this. She had built a successful wellness practice through, tight execution, management, detailed planning, and being the one who drives everything. She drove all the results. Nobody signed on without talking to her. Those skills served her well in the early stages. But when her event exploded beyond her expectations, those same control patterns almost killed the magic that was emerging from the community. And this is not unique to Elizabeth. Research from leadership experts shows that, command and control tactics make employees feel afraid to suggest creative ideas and solutions. Teams under strict control often lack diverse perspectives. That leads to slower resolution of complex challenges. So if there's no space for people to suggest and create, they stop doing it. But here's the deeper issue with that. When you're used to being the one with all the answers and then you have to let go of control, it feels like chaos. It feels like you're losing your edge, your authority, your value as a leader. It's going to get messed up. It's not going to be true to your vision. So what happens? You double down on your control. You end up creating more management systems, more processes, more ways to manage every single outcome. And while you think you're scaling your business, you're actually creating a prison where nothing can happen without you. So the truth is that control kills emergence. If Elizabeth had tried to control the outcome of her event, she would have shut down the very magic of it that was beginning to emerge from the people. She would have turned it back into a project or a workshop instead of the movement that it was beginning to become. Okay, here's point number 2: why co-creation feels like chaos and why that's kind of the point. Okay, let me be honest with you. Co-creation is kind of messy. It really can be. It's uncertain. You don't know where it's going to go exactly. And if you're used to tight execution and being the one who drives the results and drives the ship, letting go can feel like, you're losing control. It's like chaos. But here's the thing I've learned in my decades of working with high achievers: the discomfort that you feel when you let go of control isn't a sign that something's wrong. I know it seems like it. It's a sign that something's emerging. If you think about it this way, when Elizabeth saw 100 people show up for this event that she had only planned for 50, her first instinct was to panic. This isn't what I planned. I need to get control of this situation. But what if that unexpected response was exactly what was supposed to happen? That was where the project wanted to go. According to research from Voltage Control, diverse teams can solve complex problems faster than cognitively similar people. So when you open up a space for co-creation with diverse people, you're not just getting more hands on deck, you're getting different perspectives, different experiences, different solutions, different brains at work that you never would have been able to think of on your own. And here is the thing about, emergence is you can't control it. Its existence is by very nature uncontrollable. You can only create the space for it to happen, the conditions for emergence. So when people, weren't participating in Elizabeth's event, but they were moved and started to see possibility and started to come up with ideas, and they wanted in as a co-creator, not just a participant, that's emergent. That was the collective intelligence of the group creating something bigger than what any one person could have planned or imagined. But most leaders miss this. And it's such a shame because they're so focused on executing their vision and what they see and their goals that they constrain what's trying to emerge through them. Here's point three: the co-creation framework, or how to lead without losing your vision, because you do not need to lose your vision to be able to engage with co-creation. So how do you actually make this shift? How do you move from control to co-creation without losing your vision or even the results that you're out to produce, your goal? Well, Elizabeth learned how to ask three powerful questions. And these questions completely transformed how she approached not only her leadership, but the people around her. So here's the first one: what are people hungry for? So instead of assuming that she knew what people needed, she started listening. She started engaging in conversations, really listening, not just to what they were saying, but to what they were responding to, what lit them up. What was the communication underneath what they were saying? What were they asking for more of? The second question is, how can I host, not dictate? This was a huge mindset shift. So instead of being the person with all the answers, she became the person who created space for the answers to emerge. She went from being the star of the show to being the stage that allowed for others to shine. That's a huge shift. And third, who wants to build this with me? That is a key question. And how do I create a space for them to shine? This is where the magic actually starts to happen. When you stop trying to do everything yourself and you start inviting others into the creation process, you exponentially multiply your impact immediately. Now, this doesn't mean that you become kind of like a pushover or that you lose your leadership edge or even the leadership role. It's not about giving up your vision. It's about allowing your vision to evolve and expand through co-creation and collaboration with other people. Can you imagine if everybody was being responsible in your project? With continuous communication and transparency, it's actually more demanding than control, not less. It requires that you be in communication. The difference is this: in control based leadership, you're trying to force your vision onto reality. But in co creative leadership, you're allowing reality to inform and expand your vision. It like breathes life into your vision. Now, if you're a successful entrepreneur who's achieved financial success, but feels stuck in that cycle of control and reactivity, this shift to co creative leadership might be exactly what you need to actually create the freedom and fulfillment that you've been longing for. I work with 6 and 7 figure entrepreneurs, even 8 figure entrepreneurs. And this is the exact kind of transformation that they need to have, moving from overwhelmed control to empowered visionary leadership. And if you want to explore more about how this might work in your specific situation, there's a link in the description for this video where you can book a call with me and we can explore if there's something for us to co create together or if there's a way that I can support you in fulfilling on what you're out to fulfill on. Point 4, your next level of mastery from director to architect, very different space. Here's the reframe that changes everything. Co creation expands what's possible, control limits it. Your job as a visionary leader is to hold the vision, not every step of the how. Think of it this way. When you're operating from control, you're like a movie director trying to control every single frame, every line of dialogue, every camera angle, every light on the set, every prop on the set. It might seem like you're doing something good, but it's limiting. And it's only limited to what you can imagine and execute on your own. When you shift to co creation, you become more like an architect. You design the structure, you set the parameters, you set the stage and the shot, but you allow the builders, the artists, the craftspeople to bring their expertise and their vision to the project. I know I kind of mixed metaphors there, but what is the result is that, something emerges that is far more magnificent than what you could have created alone. And this is what happened with Elizabeth. When she stopped trying to control every aspect of her wellness work and started creating a space for others to contribute and express and fulfill their vision, her impact multiplied. And people didn't just attend her event, they became co creators of the movement that she was beginning to build. According to Thinkers 50, leaders who unlock trust have made the decision to transition from command and control kind of leadership to care and co creation. They understand that true leadership isn't about having all the answers. It's about creating the conditions where the best answers can emerge from a co creative space of a variety of people. So if you're trying to scale your impact, your ability to co create is not like a nice thing to have. It is literally your ticket to the next level of mastery. It's the difference between building a business that depends on you and building a movement that can grow beyond you. That's real legacy and impact. That's what co creation looks like. It's leadership in collaboration with the unknown. And it requires trusting that you don't have to have it all figured out for it to be valid. You can be a space and allow the answers to emerge. So here's what we've covered today. The difference between being a visionary and being a control freak with a great idea comes down to this. Visionaries create space for emergence. Control freaks shut it down. Pretty simple. Not easy to shift, but it's simple. Your breakthrough moments, like Elizabeth's event that doubled in size unexpectedly, are not meant to be controlled. They're meant to be hosted. They're meant to be held with curiosity and exploration and openness, not fear and restriction and control. So this is when you begin to master co-creation. You're not going to just scale your business. You're going to scale your legacy. You're going to scale your impact in ways that you never even fathomed. You move from being the bottleneck in your business to being the catalyst that allows for everything to flow with ease. And now that you understand the power of co-creation over control, you need to know how to actually implement this in your day-to-day life and your day-to-day leadership without losing your team's respect for your results and for the results they're out to produce. So watch the next video and dive deeper into the world of creation, freedom, and ease. Click here to watch it now.